Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors. We are where we are right now. Kenny B, how you doing, sir?
Man, doing good, man. Missed all that chaos downtown yesterday, man. Glad to be. No corona, no riot scars. None of my shit got burnt up. I'm all right.
Yet.
Yeah. None of my family killed by crazy cops.
Well,
All
don't.
right.
Hey, it's America. Don't get too comfortable.
That's what I'm saying. That's how low it has to be. That's how low the bar has to be for us to be having a good day.
So, Kenny, Martin Luther King said, "Riot is the language of the unheard."
Yeah.
I'm looking at your backdrop right now. So, is that Bosnia Herzegovina, or is that somewhere in the Middle East? Where is that in your backdrop, sir?
That's right outside the CNN Center in downtown Atlanta.
What?
Asking, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? So,
man,
yeah, that was crazy, man. I was, Atlanta is far and away, as far as I'm concerned. You've been around the world. I've been around the world. You hard pressed all over the United States. You're hard pressed to find a place like Atlanta for Black people. Period. There are other Black towns, but not like Atlanta. There are other chocolate cities, but not like Atlanta. They don't offer the same opportunities. They don't offer the same fairness. They don't offer the same listening ear, willingness to work with Black business, Black entrepreneurs, Black people, respect. There's something about this city that I think is, I don't know, maybe it's blessed. We were blessed to have the honor of birthing, I think, an angel on earth in Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh my goodness.
And his legacy is so rich here, and his teammates that fought to make a lot of change. Did it get perfect? Hell no. Is there ways to go? Hell yeah. But did they move the ball? Of course. And that group, there was a lot of Atlanta represented in that leadership circle, in that power struggle. When you're talking about John Lewis, you're talking about Julian Bond, you're talking about Andrew Young, Maynard Jackson. I mean, people
Absolutely.
that made
yes
differences. When nobody in the world would let Muhammad Ali fight, where did Muhammad Ali return to boxing from? He returned to Atlanta. He fought here in Atlanta. That's right. So Atlanta has had a Black mayor since 1974, I believe. Black police chief.
What other city can say that in the country? And what city can say that in the whole country?
That's right. In the world. I mean, as far as a leader that's for Black people, Maynard Jackson moved the interstate to build this new airport that he wanted, Hartsfield International Airport, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport now, but had made big moves to bring business to Black business during a time where that was, it wasn't happening. At his funeral, Delta Airlines went so far as to say, had it not been for Maynard Jackson, major corporate and forcing the Deltas and the Coca-Colas of the world to comply with fair hiring practices and making sure that you have an equal representation of African-American contracts and employees. Had it not been for Maynard Jackson, Atlanta's mayor, we wouldn't be seeing that in the rest of the country because the other corporations wouldn't have had to follow suit. So that is Atlanta. And to witness Atlanta being, on fire, that out of control last night, what hit me was that no one is safe from that. No city is safe from that. That's how sensitive African Americans are to this. But I couldn't help but also notice that at the sparking of all of these, when the energy went a little wild, at the front of it was white people. It was like the white people were fighting the police, and then when the pushback came, then all the Black folks erupted and moved out. It was white folks that I saw setting the flags on fire and then handing it to Black people who then run around with the fired up flag. It was the craziest thing that it didn't seem like it wasn't Atlantans. It was a different kind of Atlantan or Atlanta visitor that was there yesterday. That didn't seem like a natural, organic Atlanta reaction.
Kenny, this was different. So there's people. This is not a political thing. There's always African American supporters, people that understand the struggle and they get it. But I, like you, have a lot of connections around the country, and some of the most conservative people that I know, I watch them because I'll say, let me see what they say about this. Even they are saying, I don't normally respond to social media as far as events, but this was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This was a slow motion death. I'm sorry, a murder that
That's
was
right.
committed
Yep.
on live TV.
That's right.
And this bitch ass coward, Derek Chauvin, that will hopefully be ass raped by many men in the future. Too much?
No,
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah.
he
So
can enjoy that.
Yeah. So that they saw how this man casually from the neck up, you would have thought this man was on his Facebook scrolling, relaxing, chilling. Hey, what's going on? Let me see what's happening right now out there
watching his son play baseball, right?
Yes, from the neck up.
Yeah.
But from the neck down, not only was his knee on this man's neck, his hand was in his pocket, casually adding more pressure to his left knee.
Yeah.
So I know that, we'll talk about later, that it seems like there may have been a connection that they might have worked together or some other thing. So, and I saw the picture of him, when he's arrested,
Mm-hmm.
the mugshot.
Yeah.
He shaved and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but with something that's very, very clear in that picture, the hate did not go away. He wasn't a guy like, I can't believe this is happening. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you arrest me?
It was crazy. Is what's the CNN journalist? His name that got arrested?
Say again?
Who was the CNN journalist?
Omar Gimnes.
Omar
Gimnes was just reporting.
Right.
Gimnes was reporting on what was happening on site.
So
protesting in Atlanta.
So we had an arrest of a newscaster before we had an arrest of the police officer who murdered someone, and we still don't have an arrest of the other three. And I think that's what's behind the civil unrest, right? It's a wake up call to all communities around the country that at the end of the day, I think there are somewhere around 1 million police officers across the country, right? There are 50 million Black people across the country. When 50 million Black people get tired of getting picked on by 1 million bullies, it's going to be a problem. And this, you see how difficult it would be, no matter how well armed they are. There's a tactic called a human wave that will overrun, all of your ammunition, because if you can't shoot your gun, and it's on, and now it's 10 on 1, you're in trouble. So there is a need, and you can see it in the way that a lot of the police chiefs around the country are proactively this time coming out and not defending what I think was the biggest problem that started all this. They're not defending that damn Blue Lives Matter bullshit anymore. That Blue Lives Matter response to Black Lives Matter, I think, is a big part of why we're still seeing this kind of reaction. And I don't think that the police realized at that time how hot folks really were and how easy it was going to be to capture more and more and more evidence that this behavior is normal amongst you all, and hiding behind
it's normal.
Not all cops are bad cops stuff, right?
Business as usual for them.
Business as usual, right? So no more hiding. So now I think that those good cops that we may have been hearing about are vocalizing in that way. Did you see the police chief for Chattanooga, Tennessee?
I did not, sir. Well, expound, please.
He announced to his police department that anyone that saw that and didn't have a problem with what happened to Brother George, that they should just go ahead and turn their badges in. That they don't have a place on his police force. Yeah.
Kenny,
that was
I said the same thing on my social media. I got 5,000 Facebook connections of friends. Yeah. I said, listen, if you state anything saying, well, we didn't see what happened before the video.
Yeah.
Or, well, in 1994, he smoked weed, or he, if you say any of that, delete me, block
Yeah.
me, because we're no longer connected. So it's good to hear that someone can say that and be very adamant about their feelings, how they
Yeah.
feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, even Cuomo, Cuomo in New York, they just asked him, what are your thoughts? He said, I'm on the side of the protesters. So at least the talking points are there, in recognition that this is righteous anger. This isn't just a response to nothing. This is enough of this treatment, this mistreatment for, man, centuries.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we are at a point where we've got almost a decade of capturing it on cell phones, and the evidence is, I'm seeing people putting posts out that say, well, 55% of police killings are white people and only 27% of black people. I'm sick of this, selective outrage. Well, 70% of the country is white, and 55% of the people killed by cops are white. So you're not represented proportionate to your size in the community. Whereas African Americans, we only represent 13% of the population, and we're double represented in the number of people getting murdered
And listen,
by cops.
Kenny, bro, I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, it's a powder keg that exploded with this situation.
Yeah.
So many people that have nonchalantly just sat back, whether it was Eric Gardner or Phil Castillo, they were not they were unhappy and angry, but this one was different.
Yeah.
So
Philando Castile wasn't even angry. See, this is what's happening up there, right? This is Minnesota police. Philando Castile wasn't angry. Philando Castile wasn't posing a threat. Philando Castile was being very calm through the whole situation.
He told the officer, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Little baby girl in the back seat, girlfriend in the driver's seat. He's in the passenger seat, and he gets blasted like that and not guilty. Meanwhile, though, the black cop that killed the white lady by mistake,
Australia, yeah,
he got I think he got a dozen years for convicted and got a dozen years. So there seems to be, it's obvious. There's no seems to be. There's an agenda that it's acceptable, where it's acceptable to do whatever you want to do to black people. It's almost like you get points for it. Like you're not a cop until you've done some dirty shit to a black man. That's your breaking in, and then it becomes normal. Then it becomes fun, and then it becomes just nothing, right? It's just,
all right.
And so now you have what you see behind me, people getting sick and tired. This is how men are supposed to respond to that kind of shit. But respond as well when the shit is going down. No more watching, no more.
Exactly. Kenny, we talked about this.
That's right.
I told you, if I was there, I would have casually notified the little fat Asian cop, this is what's about to happen.
Yeah.
I am going to do this. I don't have a weapon, but I will not let you kill this man. I would have ran through him like a linebacker, and the bitch ass Derek Chauvin, I would have took him out and laid on the ground. But I would not have allowed that to happen. So as you talk about the unrest, how do we talk about and unpack? So this is not just an Atlanta thing.
Right.
So there's people that normally say nothing about what's happening, but they want to address, like I said earlier, if you and I were in a car and something happened, you did it in the driver's seat, I'm in the passenger seat. I didn't know that you had XYZ under the seat. I didn't know you were going to do this, but I am arrested. So we saw a video, another perspective of what happened. So there was a video that showed the right side of the car that they were in, and there were other officers that had their knee subduing and had their knee on the body of our brother as he was being assassinated, George Floyd. So there's other officers involved, and they have not been arrested yet. So over your shoulder, if we look at this unrest, the thing is, okay, so what took so long? So as you mentioned, Omar Gymnast, a correspondent at CNN.
Jimenez.
He is reporting what's happening.
Yeah.
He is very relaxed. He has his credentials. He has an ID.
Yeah.
He has a camera crew.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, you all just let me know what you all need to do that as we're recording. We're live.
Right.
So they heard none of that. All they saw was a black man that was secure, confident, and doing what he was doing, and they arrested him.
Yeah.
So they thought like, okay, so he can't be. You could not work for you must have stole that CNN ID. You stole the cameraman.
You give them credit for that they may not deserve. You're assuming that they saw a black man.
What they see?
I don't know what they saw, but they didn't treat him like he was a black man. They treated him like he was a black intruder. They treated him like he was a black criminal. They treated him like he was something less than a man. Like, here is a man.
He got arrested in 2 minutes.
That's right.
2 minutes, he was arrested.
Doing his job, posing no threat, making no danger. Obvious what he's doing, but the thinking of a segment of our population that it is acceptable, and sometimes it's our friends, our so-called friends, our so-called allies. Man, Malcolm X talked about the fox and the wolf, and how the fox and the wolf and the lamb, and how the fox and the wolf both have aims at consuming the lamb, but the mannerisms of the two give the fox an advantage over the wolf, because the wolf's intentions are signaled in its body language and in its tone, and so to stay away from the wolf. But the fox is sly, and he smiles and he makes you feel safe, and then he comes after you just the same. So you're not safe with the fox or the wolf. And the liberals, the white liberals, are very similar to the fox, and the GOP are very similar to the wolf. Neither one are a friend to us, but we keep siding up and sliding up with ones that are damaging us. And then we find ourselves in these situations because they're the ones who write the laws. They're the ones who hire these cops and let them off the hook. Amy Klobuchar, our Democrat sister who's running for president, might be vice president. Let her have it. Go with Amy, Joe. Amy's cool people. Amy let this cat off when he shot a Mexican,
expound.
a native.
Let the folks know. When? Explain what happened.
When she was the city attorney general, I believe, or something at that rank, and he was brought up on charges for, using a weapon against an indigenous man who perhaps posed a threat, perhaps didn't pose a threat, but he had been brought up on charges before her, as well as the Asian guy who was blocking him. Between the two of them, they have been brought up on charges 12 times. And each time been sent back
12
out.
times.
12 times combined. So each time sent back out into the street. At what point do you decide that that's not good enough? Now, here in Atlanta, I'm happy to say that we have a police chief and have had several police chiefs where in a row in recent years, it was a few years back where you didn't want none of APD. You didn't want none of that Red Dog Squad. They were jumping off the back of paddy wagons, just beating up everybody in the crowd before. I've seen it. Right. So we've had violence. But if you're going to get arrested and you're going to get touched up if you're going to get an encounter with some police, if you have a choice between getting an encounter with Atlanta Police Department or Chicago Police Department, Atlanta Police Department or LA Police Department, Atlanta Police Department or NYPD, you're gonna be in way better shape at the end of it if you would Atlanta more often than not. Not that they're perfect, but they're not in that vein of abusing the people of their community the way that we're seeing happening in these other cities around the country, man. But people just tired of it all over.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Of course.
All right. So there are people like you and like me that love Black people.
Yeah.
They love our culture.
Uh-huh.
They want to see us excel and always win.
Yeah.
But when they look at your backdrop, your backdrop, same thing, backdrop. When they see that, they're saying, what the hell are y'all doing? So because this happened, as this brother was assassinated, it was a crime and we all are angry. Therefore, you're going to burn down and break into our businesses in Atlanta. So what do you say to those folks and say, what you're doing right now will do nothing for the cause, for the fight. So I'm thinking, I saw the videos. Most of these folks are probably under 40, under 20. And I'm willing to say half of the folks that broke into AT&T and Gucci and Louis Vuitton, if you asked them, before you steal that $1,200 iPhone and that $3,000 Gucci, who is the man that was assassinated by the police? They'd be like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was crazy. Shit was crazy. They might even know what happened, but they feel like, because what I'm hearing is the earlier protesters, they were peaceful. They had signs, they had a message, but they were not trying to break in and burn stuff.
They're not the
So based
unheard.
on your earlier backdrop in
Yeah.
Atlanta, what does that accomplish by
It's
destroying what we already have?
how do you determine, you know, how do you define accomplish, right? What are they trying to get done? Like Dr. King said, riots are the voice of the unheard, right? And
Yes.
this is people who want to be heard. There is a segment of the population here in Atlanta as well that's just in a lot of pain and anguish and despair, and in a sense of trapped in a sense of hopelessness. What do you do in that kind of circumstance? And then you find yourself in the middle of this energy, right? What do you have to
Right.
lose? When you have nothing to lose, that is the most dangerous person on earth. A mouse trapped in the corner becomes a danger to a cat, right? So when you have a cornered people, this is what happens when they get out of the corner, or in their desire to get out of the corner. When a person is drowning, they don't mean to drown you to save themselves. It's just what's
They
happening.
grab anything they're gonna grab anything they
That's
can.
right. That's right. And you don't. There's no rationalizing at that point. It is a matter of survival and trying to make something happen, to affect change, to relieve yourself of pain that you're experiencing. And people will do the craziest, wildest things. The objective should be to relieve the pain. And it's unfortunate that the pain seems to be concentrated in one segment of the population, and that's our segment. And so the question again becomes, what do we do about it to make sure that these types of things don't happen anymore? There's stuff that can be done, if we come, but it all starts with, you know, us coming together as a people. Destroying Atlanta, while I understand the rage, it's not smart tactics. It's not smart tactics, because when they destroy Detroit, y'all come on down here to Atlanta and do business, because we're set up, we're established, we're ready to go. We can onboard you if you know how to
Yes, sir.
open up a sports bar and you know how to operate a sports bar. Come to Atlanta. You can open up a sports bar. You
Just
can
like
get money
that.
to open your sports bar, and you'll have patronage here because you're black owned, not in spite of you being black owned. But in other cities, you don't have that. So when you destroy Atlanta, you destroy the opportunity for folks all around the world to have black people all around the world where they have a place to come to and get a fair chance with an audience in a community that has money to spend. Yes.
Can I share something with you? So I'm from Chicago, as you all may know. There are parts of the west side and south side of Chicago where there's vacant lots.
Mm-hmm.
Guess why they're vacant?
Why?
They've been vacant since 1968.
The riots.
MLK was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
To this day.
Yeah.
So our communities were destroyed. So to your point, Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, that was how we expressed our anger, and we destroyed in our cities we were from. But Atlanta was a safe haven. Mm-hmm. Go there and enjoy the best of everything. So to your point, so there are some people, some very prominent people in your city that were not happy with what was going on. They said, okay, I understand. I empathize, but don't do that here.
Right.
So the amazing mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she came on last night and she brought T.I. and Killer Mike. And I heard her, and she tried her best not to curse. What she wanted to say so bad was take y'all ass home. But she couldn't say that.
Right.
So, but she was, I didn't know. So first I heard it, then I watched it, and she was so passionate. She came out passionate.
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is not what the original civil rights leaders, Andrew Young, MLK, they would not have wanted this. What are you doing right now?
Right.
But she acknowledged the anger.
Yeah.
And the hurt, the frustration,
the fear.
But this is not the way to do it. Yes.
Right. Right. It's at a certain point, it's a way to do it. I think T.I. hit it on the head when he said that in other cities, some of y'all deserve that, but not here. Not here in Atlanta. So,
No.
and Killer Mike made a very good point in saying that, you know, you have to be more organized than that. You have to plan, you have to strategize, you have to mobilize, and then and you have to organize and mobilize. And that's the piece that is, you know, Atlanta is that refuge for every Black person on the planet. Now, every Black person on the planet, every Black person in America. Now, obviously, everybody can't fit here, but this model that Atlanta represents, it's been proven out. It's been proven out, and big corporations recognize the value of what Atlanta has created. Every time I drive into the city of Atlanta, there's a sense of pride that I have as I'm coming in, or you know, from the airport or where have you, knowing that Black people are the reason that this city looks so magical and beautiful when you come in, and all that it has to offer, that it was African Americans who pooled their resources and came together and worked hard and built a city that is one of the largest revenue generators in the country as far as cities are concerned, busiest airport in the country, maybe one of the busiest airports in the world. That much traffic
No,
and
in the
travel
world.
coming through it. That much traffic
In the
coming through it.
world.
Headquarters for companies like the Home Depot, the Delta Airlines, Coca-Cola. You know, we play ball here in Atlanta. And when you have Tyler Perry Studios here in Atlanta, Hollywood, Black Hollywood right here in Atlanta, Black music mecca right here in Atlanta, all these opportunities, this is not the place you destroy. This is the place after you get sick and tired of getting mistreated elsewhere, you tear that down, then bring that energy down here and build here. This is where you have an opportunity to build. This is fertile soil. Don't burn down the small patch of the limited resources that you have. And Atlanta is a resource. It's not a problem. So we got to make sure that we protect the interest, because it's not just Atlanta that will be destroyed. It would be a key point, a key tool, if you will, toward us getting to where we want to be as a people. Atlanta is a key resource in helping us get there. We can't destroy this city. Can't.
So the question is, as we express this anger that we have, what is the right way to do it? So listen, if you're listening, Smoke and Mirrors, follow us on social media, share, like, tell your friends about this. So we don't do videos and post a month later. So we're posting right now. If you see this, it's happening today. So Kenny, we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Tonight, shit, we don't know. Hey, we know what happened last night in Phipps Plaza with AT&T store and the Gucci store. So those people are very different than the first group of people that had a peaceful march with their signs, with their comments, with the Caucasian people.
Yep.
They're different than the people that came out at 11 o'clock and said, you know what, what's up?
Yeah.
And they went to Phipps Plaza and Lenox to break in, and pillage. So I don't know what's gonna happen tonight.
Well,
what I'm saying is,
National Guard is here now, so it's not gonna go down quite the same way. I hope not, because it wouldn't be
but there's people
easy.
that's not like us.
Right.
So they instantly see National Guard. Oh, so y'all want to kill us now. They don't understand. There were cops that were out there last night with their shields and their tasers and guns saying, I feel y'all.
Yeah.
All right, so let's backtrack. So as Omar Jimenez was handcuffed and walked away, he said the cop told him, I'm sorry, man.
Doing my job.
I'm just following orders.
I'm just following orders. Right.
And Kenny, I thought if you're state police, okay, so your training is different. You're not a city cop. You're a state police. So your training far exceeds that of a police officer in the city. Apparently, it doesn't.
No, I mean,
they march to the beat of what they're told to do.
They're trained to be cops, right? To protect and serve, and we are what they are protecting from, and we are not who they serve. But that is we own a part of that. See, it doesn't have to be your fault to be your problem, and if it's your problem, it's your responsibility to solve it. We can blame everybody for why we're in the condition that we're in, but nobody else is hurting because we're in the condition that we're in, like we're hurting. No one else is suffering because we're in the condition that we're in the way we're suffering. As a matter of fact, Most people benefit because of our suffering. So no one's going to reach a hand in and help us out of this suffering. It's up to us to get ourselves out of this suffering. And we got to stop depending on others outside of our community to help us get out of this circumstance. We got to stop depending on the fox to help the lamb out of the mouth, or help protect the lamb from the wolf. That's
a fox and a wolf.
plan.
They family.
Right.
Fox and the wolves are family.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. So I see Brother Malcolm.
Yes.
At Lennox Pharmacy. Let's expound on that, sir.
Well, this is Harlem. This is the 60s. This is what it looked like when black people were fed up back then. You asked last week, why do black people have to have black leaders? This is what a black leader inspires. See, a black leader isn't somebody who just says, I'm in charge. A black leader is somebody everybody else says, you in charge. What should we do? How should we roll? That's what we don't have. When we get one, they get assassinated, or they get locked up, or they get destroyed, or they get cancel cultured, right? You go dig up an email of them threatening a white girl or something, and now nobody wants to talk to them anymore. So this is what we saw yesterday was aimless. It was directionless. It was planless. It was clueless. There was a lot of energy spent yesterday in honor of George Floyd, in tribute to what he went through, in a message. Right. And it was also a lot of energy spent in tribute to anybody else who might experience it in the future, who won't experience it tomorrow as a result of what's happening right now, right? So there might have been some lives actually saved because of the tripping that they're seeing right now. Folks are a little slower to go and put their hands or do too much damage to a black man right now because of the sensitivities. But it's exactly that rage. Now, if that rage was contained, it's like fire, right? Fire out of control will destroy your neighborhood, but fire under control can build a city. So that's what we've got to learn how to do. We've got to find a way to control all of that energy and put it toward a direction that builds something that we can leave to our children instead of leaving them with nothing over and over and over again. Black net worth is nothing. Black homicide rates are through the roof. I mean, we've got everything that's bad. We're number one in it, not by our choice. That don't happen naturally. We're not inferior. That's by design. We've got to recognize what the design is and then start working around the design. And people have told us throughout history what the design is, and we've ignored them, but yet it keeps on playing out because they were correct. And Brother Malcolm just happened to be one of those people who warned us. Same stuff he told us then about police violence, about the media, will have you believing that your enemy is your friend and your friend is your enemy. That still is true today. But we as a people, we tend to ignore that, seemingly out of fear of disturbing the white liberal who we feel is our only protector, our savior, our salvation from the wolf, the GOP, the Republican, the Dixiecrat, the white racist. They got country club racists that are just nicer. They say it nicer. They have better manners, but you still a nigger, period. Yeah. And that's what we have to understand. And we got to start loving each other, looking toward each other, looking to each other, building each other up. Because if we can come together, we are 48 million people with a spending power of $1.2 trillion. We are the richest. We are the richest black country on the planet. And we don't have an army to pay for. We don't have hospitals to build. We don't have universities to fund. We don't have those bills. This is after taxes is taken out. We spend $1.2 trillion. That's our spending money. We would be the 12th richest nation on earth, 13th richest nation on earth, if that was our GDP. We'd be right behind Spain. So entire nations don't make as much as us. And I'm sorry, 90% of what we spend with other people who hire us last and fire us first. That's
absolutely. And kill us accordingly.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And so when you build a community, now you have a market that you can sell products to, and you don't need other communities to buy your products. You just sell them to your own people. But we've been trained not even to shop with one another. You don't even buy with one another. So when you don't have a market, right, then you don't have money. If you don't have money pooled together, there's no national black banks. We spend $1.2 trillion, richest black country on the planet. If you said the whole country, we'd be the richest black country on the whole planet by far, not even close. There's nobody close to us black, by far. And we don't have one national black bank that has all of our money or half of our money or 25% of our money going to it in the form of direct deposit statements. The black banks give loans to black businesses. Black businesses hire black people. We run around with double-digit unemployment, depression level unemployment all the time because we're waiting on white people to hire us. White people build businesses to hire white kids. That's their right. Hire their own children first.
I'm sorry. I just got an email addressing this topic. So as it relates to the autopsy, the criminal complaint against Derek Chauvin, the autopsy revealed no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. Mr. Floyd had underlying health conditions, including coronary artery, I can't believe this shit, coronary artery disease and hypertensive heart disease, and there's more. Mm-hmm. The combined effects of Mr. Floyd being restrained by the police, are you kidding me? His underlying health conditions and any potential intoxicants in his system likely might have contributed to his death. This is what the autopsy says.
Yeah.
So why did they not do a first-degree murder charge instead of a third degree?
Because we don't have any power. That's why. That's why. It goes back to the point I was just making, right? This is all the same stuff. I'm not surprised by that. This is what we were saying last week, right? I was saying it last week when we were talking about, you know, he's been charged. It's like George, whatever his name is, Trayvon Martin's, George Zimmerman was charged. Charged doesn't mean shit.
Right.
It has to go through the autopsy. It has to go through the DA. It has to go through the grand jury. Which judge is going to get selected? Who's going to get put on this jury? Where's this jury pool coming from? How do they think, right? There's a whole lot between getting charged and getting convicted. And this is just the first step, and it's already not going in our direction. But it doesn't go in our direction because we are powerless. The people, the groups that have power, they dictate what's going to happen. And the group that has no power is dictated to them what's going to happen. When you have no market, you have no money. When you have no money, you can't buy politicians. If you can't buy politicians, legislation doesn't get written in your favor. That's why we never get into legislation. We do all this voting. Vote, 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 vote. Guess who doesn't vote? The Asian community. They don't vote.
They don't vote?
Ain't nobody messing with them. Ain't nobody messing with them because they don't need to vote. Whoever's in power, they run them because they put money in their pockets. That's how you do it. We're building the building upside down. We're starting with the roof on the floor. We're already at the politician's pocket, but we haven't given the politician anything. We're trying to get out of the politician's pocket. Politicians aren't built to give you shit. Politicians are built with their hand out. So if you don't have nothing to put in their hand, but you're trying to get something from their hand to your hand, good luck with that. But all we get, we are votes, free votes to them.
Bro.
Free votes.
Bro, my prayer is that the Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, a black man, will make sure that this case does not fall by the wayside.
Bro, how long we been praying?
Since
how long we been praying?
1832.
And it is what it is. We had a black president of the United States and 2 black attorneys general, black head of FEMA. We had all that. The head in the city of Cleveland when Tamir Rice was gunned down, the mayor was a black Democrat. But the system, the laws are set up that allow this to happen to us because we are not who they are targeting to. We are not the targeted beneficiary of the laws because we don't offer anything of substance to a politician. They got nothing for us because we don't have anything for them. We give them free votes. They give us free nothing.
In closing, peace, love, respect to George Floyd and his daughters. So you tapped into something that he allegedly worked with Derek Chauvin together.
More than that, bro. More than that.
Not only, all right, so
not only is it coming out that they worked together, right? They worked together in the same bar as bouncers for years. There is no way that
he knew him.
There's no way you wouldn't know him. This is Minnesota. They don't get dark-skinned up there very easily. You know what I'm saying? So you got this brother that came.
It don't just happen by happenstance.
It's diluted out there, man. It's a different kind of black people up there. Them light-skinned brothers is throwing hands, but still, it was, that's Prince and Morris Day in them, Yeah. But so you got this big. Everybody recognizes the big 6'7" brother that you see all the time because whether you see a lot of brothers or not, you definitely don't see a lot of 6'7" brothers, 6'5" brothers, NBA length, height brothers, right? In physical
Yeah.
specimens, in great athletic shape. So here's the bouncer, you working in the same building with him. So the vice president of the city council was like, yes, they knew each other. They worked together for years. So that's one piece of it. Here's another
17 years
that
they knew each other.
No. The cop worked at that restaurant for 17 years. The brother George didn't necessarily work there for 17 years, but George worked there for some years. So it wasn't, there was no way that they wouldn't know each other, and their shifts overlapped. So they ran into each other, either coming and going or going and coming, either way. But you know who when you've seen somebody a bunch of times over a 2 year, 3 year, 1 year period, right?
Hell yeah.
So there's that piece. But then here's the other piece. The Derek Chauvin's wife, Kelly, the real estate agent, did the smart move, and she, filed for divorce to get out of this situation, because we were going to buy a house yesterday or today. She filed for divorce.
Oh, wow.
Because she's saying,
Wow.
I didn't know he was like this. So your racist husband never said anything racist to you, and you and your family, y'all don't hate black people. Like, y'all just came here loving black people. Okay, I believe it. But long story short, she files for divorce. They have children. She has children from a previous marriage, not for him. And she just asked for peace for her family, her children. So she sees what's coming. She sees her house surrounded by protesters and the police protecting. So she did the smart move, filed for divorce. But here's what's even crazier. The Asian cat that was standing in front of him, keeping
Tao.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That is the murderer's brother-in-law.
Oh, Lord. This shit.
That's his wife's brother.
That's why he stood there, to protect him, to provide a shield, to make sure no one saw him.
Yeah. And if you watch the video,
they were family.
If you watch the video of the whole arrest, it was just the craziest thing. It didn't line up with any police protocol that anybody have ever done. There were other people in the car, and they just let them out of the car, didn't even pay attention to them. Those other people could have represented threats to someone who you're trying to arrest for a suspected crime, right? So I'm coming to take someone's freedom and liberty from them. And I'm trained to do this in a way because people will respond in different ways to that idea that you're going to take my liberty, and I know it. You never know what you're going to get. So when they have other people in the car with them, right, you're trained to keep an eye on them and move them over here, keep control of the whole situation. They just let the other people in the car just get out and just walk whichever direction they were going to go with a backpack. Like, if the person wanted to go into the backpack and pull a gun, nobody checked to see if he didn't have a gun in the backpack. All this weirdness about the arrest. Then they take him out of the car, sit him down, and then walk him across the street past the cop car that's right in front of them to another cop car that's waiting across the street. When they get him to the door, he stumbles and falls. They got him right at the back door. All they had to do, 3 cops, back door, just pick him up, put him in the car. But what was funny is the other cop car pulls in front of where the camera is and blocks the view, and you can no longer see what's happening with George. But that's not even the side that he dies on. He dies on the other side of the car. So where all this stuff happened, it's just the weirdest set of circumstances, man. And it's just showing how free they feel in doing whatever. It doesn't even have to make sense what they're doing to us. We could be running away and they shoot us in the back and get away with it.
Yeah.
We could be telling them, hey, I don't worry, I'm going in here to get my wallet, and we're done. It's
as a black man is running with his back, they will say his back was aggressive.
Yeah.
And his back was not resisting.
Right.
Therefore, we had to, whatever, Kenny. So listen, smoke and mirrors. There's so much that's happening, and we cannot do this next week, and we got to do this again too, because it's
just do another
every day.
Yeah. This is interesting stuff to talk about.
Listen, as you all like the page, follow the page, share with your friends. There has been like 3 events in my whole life that really affected me to the point of tears. I'm a grown man, as you know, 6'6", 225. I love my community. I've cried a couple times.
Yeah.
This event, as I watched this, it was angry tears, not sad tears. Because I wanted to take that aggression. It's like, where do I put this? Because I can't let this happen again. So you and I can process that and say, all right, so what's the next move? Mm-hmm. But to the brother that's 27, 32,
the brother that's
33, he doesn't have that filter.
That's on us.
I'm gonna
provide them with an outlet. That's on us.
That's what we gotta do.
That's leadership. That's what Black leadership is. That's on us.
KB, Smoke and Mirrors. We thank you all for following us, liking the page, and we want to just at all times provide you a venue for current events, unfiltered, uninterrupted, and we will give it to you straight, no chaser. That's what we got. Smoke and Mirrors.
Don't be a sucker.
Ever.
Peace.